Hello, welcome to True Blue of Hamble, our Moody 31 yacht. The idea of this virtual handover is not to be a slick polished presentation with whizzy graphics and special effects, but rather a document to show the skipper and first mate how all the major functions on the boat actually operate, whilst maintaining good social distancing. Somewhere in the video there is a code word embedded which you will be asked to repeat as evidence that you have watched the video from end to end. This code word is not present in the YouTube version. At any point you can start, stop, pause, rewind or begin again this video, and when you've watched it in its entirety, please return the tablet to the office along with any questions you may have, and we'll be delighted to help you. Now let's go to the boat and have a look at the engine. Welcome aboard True Blue. The first thing we'll have a look at is the engine, and the bottom step is removed by undoing the two locker catches just above the step. This gives us access to the front of the engine. The only two things worth checking here are the water pump and the drive belt. The drive belt's one of the latest Poly V types, as this is a brand new engine and rarely if ever need adjusting for tension. The water pump I will refer back to shortly. We're now going to move into the aft cabin and remove the rear engine cover. The most important thing on the engine is that when you start it, you must check that there is water coming out of the exhaust to cool the engine. If there isn't, the seawater strainer is just here and it's easy to see into. It has a clear top, and if you've picked up a jellyfish or a plastic bag, you'll be able to see it. The top is just hand tight. You can remove it, scoop out whatever it is, throw it in the bilge and put the top back on, and normally that cures the problem. If it doesn't, the impeller may be burnt out in the water pump, and we'll have a look at that in a moment from the front of the engine. All the engines are serviced every time they go out for charter, so there is no great need in a week to perform any daily checks. But if your charter is 2 or 3 weeks or more, or if you want to perform daily checks, you are of course welcome to. The dipstick for the oil is here with a yellow top. Just like a car, it has a high mark and a low mark, and the oil level should be between the two. If it does need oil, there is a bottle in the cockpit locker and it goes in here. But as it's a new engine, it really shouldn't be using a lot of oil. The gearbox is just down here, and there is no need to check the oil level in this. It's quite happy from one season to the next. Also located here is the automatic fire extinguisher. So if there was a fire in the engine space, that extinguisher will go off and extinguish the fire. We're at the front of the engine again now, and if you've no water to cool the engine coming out of the exhaust and clearing the primary water strainer didn't work, then take this faceplate off by undoing the 6 screws, pull out the remains of the impeller. You'll find a new one in the engine spares kit, pop it in, replace the faceplate, and that should cure the problem. The cooling water comes through the main strainer to this pump, into the engine and out of the exhaust. The gas system on True Blue comprises of 2 gas bottles in the cockpit, one of which is in use and a spare. There is also a secondary gas tap on True Blue in the cupboard just above and behind the cooker, which is here. When it's in line with the gas pipe, it's on. When it's across the pipe, like it is now, it is off. To light the cooker, the gas bottles must be turned on and the secondary gas tap turned on. Then choose which burner you require, push the button in, turn it clockwise, and hold it in whilst you light it with the matches or click stick provided for a count of 5 to 10 seconds. Then release. If the flame doesn't stay lit when you release the button, do it again, but hold it in for a little longer. This is a flame failure device, so if the flame blows out whilst you're cooking, it just shuts the gas off. The gas leak detector sounder is located in the aft cabin on the forward bulkhead. The batteries for True Blue are located underneath the aft cabin. The control switch for them is just behind your legs when you sat at the nav table. Unfortunately, I can't get the video camera in to show a better view than this, but there is a very clear diagram in the skipper's handbook. The red pointer here indicates which position the switch is in. The top position is both domestic and engine. The furthest away position, when you press this red button in and turn the dial, is domestic only. The nearest position, position 1, is engine battery only, and the bottom position is off. When the engine's running or you're on shore power, this switch should be in the both position. There are two very important things with this switch. When you're at anchor, just consuming power, you must turn it to domestic only position, which is the furthest away from you. Failure to do this will leave the engine battery connected, and if you have the fridge on and the heating on, by morning you'll find you've no battery to start the engine. So it's important to isolate the engine battery by choosing domestic only. The other important thing is do not turn it off whilst the engine is running, or you will require a new alternator. Just at the back of the view here is the battery charger. It's fully automatic, nothing to do. When you disconnect shore power, it will just go off, and when you plug back into shore power, it will come back on. 240 volt socket, only works whilst you're on shore power. And this little circuit breaker here is for the electric windlass. Its main purpose is that if the anchor gets snagged whilst you're recovering it, instead of damaging the windlass, it just turns the power off. To turn it back on, just lift up the small black lever next to the red button. If you want to test it or deliberately isolate the windlass if you've got children on board, then just press the red button in. Please study the face view of this control panel in the skipper's handbook. We're now at the navigator's table, and having seen where power comes from, we can see where it goes to. If you'd like to check the batteries, this switch here, battery 1, is your engine battery. Position 2 is domestic batteries. The switches are all clearly labelled: steaming light, navigation lights, deck light, cabin lights, compass light, navigation instruments, instrument lights, VHF and charger, anchor light, freshwater pump for pressure at the taps, shower drain pump. So if you're using the shower, that switch needs to be on, then the little rubber switch inside the heads will pump the grey water away. And cool box, very power hungry, so please only use it whilst you're on shore power or the motor's running. When you're just under sail, please remember to turn it off. It's very well insulated and will stay cold for a very long time. This is a 12 volt cigarette lighter type socket for charging telephones and things, and we've also fitted 4 USB points, also for charging phones and iPads, etc. There's a music system which will play CDs, radio, MP3 players, but its main purpose is for you to get the weather. The heating system is an Ebusbacher system. To light it, press the top right button once, and it will take 4 or 5 minutes to get going, and you'll feel warm air being blown around the boat. Once it's running, you can turn the temperature up or down. To stop it, press the same button you pressed to light it again, and it will go into its cool down routine, and after 3 or 4 minutes it will switch off. It's very economical, only uses about half a litre of diesel an hour. If your domestic batteries have been well used and are perhaps a little flat, you may have to have the engine running at fast idle in neutral just whilst it lights. It takes a lot of power to start it, but very little to keep it going. If it's a beautiful hot sunny day like today, if you want fresh air, just press the fan button and you'll have cool air blown round the boat. Just underneath the switch panel is the VHF radio. On and off, squelch, channel up, channel down, and the quickest way back to 16 is just press 16. If you've got a serious problem, lift the red flap and press the red distress button. Keep it pressed in for about 5 seconds or more, and it will transmit your precise location and an automatic mayday to the Coast Guard. The plotter on this yacht has now been moved out into the cockpit, and we will see this shortly. This boat is equipped with a single water tank, therefore there is no manifold or switches or anything to change or adjust. The capacity of the water tank and the diesel tank is clearly shown in the skipper's handbook. All our boats have ITT Jabsco twist and lock pumps, which are reliable and easy to use. When you've used the toilet, move this lever to the right hand position, and using the pump, about 10 or 15 strokes will empty the bowl. Move this switch to the left hand position, and using the same pump again, another 15 or 20 strokes will rinse the bowl out and clear the pipes of the boat. None of our boats have holding tanks, they are all straight to ocean, so please don't use them in a marina. The toilets will handle anything that you've eaten and small amounts of toilet paper without an issue. Putting wet wipes or any sanitary products down the toilet will block it instantly. Now please press pause and make your way up on deck and join me again at the bows. True Blue is fitted with an electric windlass which has 40 metres of chain. The chain is marked every 10th metre, so at 10 metres there is 1 mark, 20 there are 2, and so on. Yellow plastic markers you're looking for, all apart from the last set which are red, just to tell you you're coming to the end of the chain. The bitter end is securely tied to the boat with a length of rope, so it can be cut free in an emergency. There are 2 foot controls, down and up, and to operate the switch behind your right leg when you sat at the navigator's table, the circuit breaker must be in the on position. It's good practice to have the engine running when you use the windlass, partly because it takes so much power, but also because it's a good idea to make sure that you can start the engine before you pull the hook out of the ground. True Blue has 3 reefs in her mainsail. Most of the power in this boat is in her genoa. The mainsail is really just for balance. There is a reefing horn both sides of the mast, and to put a reef in, it's just a question of lowering the mainsail, hooking on whichever reef you want, then retensioning the main halyard. The slack in the leech is taken up by pulling the appropriate coloured rope and then using the jammers underneath the boom. The mainsail isn't very big, but if you need extra assistance, there is a small winch on the aft side of the mast. All our boats have lazy jacks, so when you put a reef in, the excess sail just falls into the bag. Likewise, when you finish sailing for the day, the sail just falls into the bag. Close the zip. There's no need for sail ties or any ballet on the coach roof. The diesel filler on True Blue is located port aft, just next to the primary winch. The water tank filler on True Blue is located starboard midships. The water tank and the diesel tank will both be full on your arrival. At the port side underneath the spray hood there are 3 clutches for the spare halyard, out haul and kicking strap. On the starboard side under the spray hood there are 3 more clutches for the genoa halyard, main halyard and topping lift. The plotter on True Blue is located underneath the spray hood at the port side. This is the default screen. It works like an iPad. You can zoom in and out by pinching. This is us in the marina at the moment. So if we zoom out and imagine we wanted to go up the Sound of Mull, the first place I would want to get to would be between Lismore Light and Lismore Island, just here. So if I tap the screen, now it's telling me instantly to steer 273 degrees magnetic for 5.75 nautical miles, and doing so would take me exactly to that spot. No buttons to press, no waypoints to enter. And to see my whole journey, I just zoom out a little and I can see where it's taking me. If you press other buttons to look at other views or more information, if you want to get back to this screen, the easiest way is to press and hold the power button to turn it off, count to 5 and turn it back on. This plotter is purely a backup to the paper charts and pilot books. It's never intended to replace them, but it is very useful and makes life very comfortable. The instruments on True Blue are located in the garage just above the companionway. At the far left we have depth, which shows depth under the keel. So the actual depth of water here is about 7 meters. The draft of the boat is written in the skipper's handbook if you need a reminder. Here we have wind information, shows where the wind is coming from, just off the starboard bow at just 2 knots, and speed through the water. The life raft on True Blue is located underneath the aft cockpit seat. The painter is securely tied to the boat. To deploy it, remove this seat, it just lifts out, grab the bag and throw it over the side or over the stern. Once it drifts away from the boat, the painter will pull tight and inflate the raft. You can use then the painter to pull it back to the boat, all climb in and cut yourselves free. If the boat went down and nobody did anything, it is designed to float free from the boat. True Blue is our only tiller steered boat, but she does have an auto helm system. It's stored in a bag in the forward cabin, and to use it, the base of it screws into this fitting here. The end of the arm fastens onto this nipple here, and the electric plug plugs into that socket. Once it's rigged up, which takes 10-15 seconds or so, you'll be presented with buttons on the auto helm to hold a course, change a course by plus or minus 1 degree or plus and minus 10 degrees, or standby, which gives you control back. To start the engine, we're going to press the red button in so we can engage power without the gearbox. So press the red button in, then choose 1/2 to 3/4 throttle, forward or astern, doesn't matter, the gearbox is disconnected now. Then at the engine control panel, we're going to press the on-off button to turn the power on, and it will say Volvo Penta. Wait till that changes to engine hours, like it has now, and that's indicating it's done an automatic preheat of the glow plugs and is ready to start. There is no manual button to heat the glow plugs. Then to start the engine, press the button labelled Start, and return the throttle to the tick over position. It's important now to check that there is water coming out of the exhaust. To stop the engine, press and hold the stop button and then turn the electrics off by pressing the on-off button, and the screen should go clear. Before you leave, please have a look at the tidal stream plan in our office. This will help you have a stress-free and easy departure. When you're ready to go, please take all the dock lines with you that are not shackled to the pontoon. Please also take the shore power lead so you can enjoy shore power at another marina. When you return, your last job is to fill the diesel tank. The diesel station is on leg D, D for diesel, and is clearly marked from seaward. Then return the boat to any berth on leg F, Foxtrot, and make sure she is securely tied up and shore power is connected and water tank filled. We hope you have a tremendous holiday, and if you have any questions, please come and see us in the office. We'll be delighted to help you. Have a great time.